All right, well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is Senior Tech Coffee, and I'm your host, Patrick Baker with Prime of Life Tech. Today, we have a special guest, Bill Nissim, who is a realtor in the Denver area, and we're going to be talking about some tools that you can use online for real estate, learning more about your property, and really drilling down into some of the data about your finances, and just there's lots of stuff to cover. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. Bill, good morning, and thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Patrick.
You bet. Again, as I mentioned, I'm with Prime of Life Tech. That is my business. I have over 30 years of IT experience. I provide simplified technology solutions for the older adult community, as well as IT education and tech support, really for anyone of any age. Feel free to contact me at primeoflifetech.com. Let me just go back one slide. This, again, Bill Nissim is our guest today, and Bill is with Colorado Home Realty, and Bill has provided us with a. Oh, I went too far again. Bill has provided us with a PDF that you can access at this website address that you see listed on the screen on the right. So I'm going to stop sharing. And Bill, if you want to go ahead and share your screen, feel free. And please jump right in and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure.
And how you got into real estate, and take it away, please.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Patrick. I appreciate this opportunity, and I'm welcome to all the guests, and I appreciate your time. I know everyone's time is very valuable, and hopefully I'll make this worth your time. Just to answer Patrick's question, I'm originally born and raised in Southern California. I worked for a variety of different companies. Had my own company. And at this point in time in my life, I basically wanted to go back to kind of working for myself. So I basically do two things. I do real estate, and I also still have my company, which does marketing, consulting, and video production. So if you'd like me to go ahead and kick off.
Please, dive right in.
Perfect. Okay, so again, there was a tool that was provided. That PDF, if you want to use it to follow along, that'd be great, because we're going to be referencing it a few times. All right. So if we were to go ahead and just move ahead, let's say 30, 40 minutes from now, hopefully it's not that long, and you were to reflect back and say, well, what did we get out of this conversation, this time spent? And again, we want it to be spent well for you. Hopefully there's three things. And the first one is empower homeowners with easy to use tools. And what I mean by that is they're very intuitive, they're simple, and they just don't require a lot of effort to use them. If you were to think about the second thing we talked about, it's really about managing your most valuable asset. And there was a study, I actually dropped it into the chat box. There's a Forbes article. So whether you're retiring in 1 year or 20 years from now, I think it's good material for anyone to look at. But anywhere from between 65 and 85% of your total net worth is actually in your home, believe it or not. Some people spend 20, 30 years paying something off, and so they have this huge amount of equity. And the third thing I'd like to impart to you is provide timely and useful information on demand. And I believe that PDF is an on-demand vehicle for you to use and reference anytime you'd like. Back to a little bit more about myself. I got an undergrad and graduate degree in marketing communications. I also did executive education through Oxford, England, Dartmouth, MIT, and Harvard Business School. As I mentioned, I was an owner of a couple of businesses. I had an aerospace company. We sold to the Navy and the Marine Corps helicopter platform. So I ran that for 6 years. And then again, marketing, consulting, video production. I've been doing that for about 12. I also work for 3 different companies. They're pretty large organizations. Parker Hannifin, they make flight controls and actuators for a variety of applications. Cayman, which does fluid controls, and Toastmasters, which is a public speaking corporation. And finally, I'm with Colorado Home Realty. They're a local organization, boutique, if you will. They're about 100 plus agents. They cover everywhere from Fort Collins all the way down to Colorado Springs. And they try to raise the bar on basically providing an excellent experience through the whole process, because buying a home is one of the most stressful things you can do, or selling your home. And we want to take all that, and we have all the tools and materials and mechanisms to take that stress away from you. All right, let's keep going. All right, so again, we're going to talk about tools. We're only going to focus on 3. One's called Homebot, so I'm going to give you a tour of that, financial calculators, and a home search portal. And again, the idea being, make it simple, make it easy to use, and make it automatic. And that's what you're going to see in at least 2 of these tools, where it just happens. You don't even have to think about it. You don't have to go pull up a search browser and do some work. All right, let's talk about Homebot. So what is Homebot? It's a free online tool. And once you sign up, and there's only 3 easy steps to do that, you get a monthly market evaluation on your home. Just to give you an idea, in the Denver area, last year, about home prices on an average, in aggregate, went up about 20%. And year to date in 2021, it's been up about 9%. So obviously, you know, there's no way to put your fingers on the pulse of what's going on with your home. Not that you're planning to sell, but at least it would be interesting to know what it's worth. And in this little crazy market we're dealing with right now, I think it's kind of interesting, if anything. It also goes into things like interest payments, equity, and other wealth building tools. And we're going to get into that. And hopefully you find that interesting and maybe possibly start using it. There's going to be some quick calculators. There's definitely more than what's shown up here. I just thought I would take you a few of these, 4 of them to be exact. And there's a lot more. So you have my contact information at the bottom of the PDF. Anytime you're looking for a calculator that you can't find, let's say on the internet, shoot me an email, and I think we might have one that you could use. And finally, we're going to wrap it up with a customized search portal. Again, an easy setup, and you have all the control. It's easy to use, and it will give you information as you see fit. All right, with that said, we're going to go ahead and start with this PDF that you have at your disposal. And if you want to follow along, you just simply click this hot link. And again, 3 easy steps. The first thing is you put in an address here, whatever that address might be. And I'm just going to drop one in. And you hit the button, and then bingo, it's going to tell you at present, it's an algorithm, and it's reaching out and pulling a whole bunch of publicly held data into it. And it says, bingo, your estimate value of your home is X. And this is from the time you purchased it, right? This is back in this particular house, July of 2020, all the way to, today. You can see how it's gone up. And it actually tells you, the value of your home. And we'll get into that in a minute. The next thing you have to do, which is step 2, is you simply just type in your email address. Once you do that, you just go over to this little button here that says go. You push that. And the third step is simply you just go in and give your first name, last name, and you're done. So let's go ahead, and I'll get out of here, and I'll go into one that's already created. Now, the first thing, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Could you just magnify that screen slightly?
This one? Sure.
It's a little bit small on my end, and I'm not sure how that looks for the rest of them.
How does that look to everyone?
That looks much better for my end. I'm on a laptop, so.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm sorry. Did you want me to go back?
No, you're good.
We're good.
No problem.
All right. So you'll get this, let's say, on a once a month basis, and I'm just going to take you through very quickly through a few of the things that it does, the value that it provides you as a homeowner. Number 1, again, it tells you the estimate value. You have, from the time that you purchase the home till present, that's where the current value. Again, and it's just an estimate from an algorithm. It would require a little bit bigger digging into to really get a fine tune, but I'm going to show you that. So the first thing you notice is something called tune value. Now, let's just say for fun that your neighbor 3 doors down sold their house for $509,000, right? Even though yours says 47. Well, this is giving you a range of what it possibly could be. But let's, rather than just randomly say our house is worth more than it is, let's just go through a couple of maybe exercises. So you say continue. Is this accurate? You have 4 bedrooms, yes or no? You click here, how many bathrooms do you have? Well, this says 3 full. Maybe you have a half on the main floor. Click it again, square footage, just make sure that's correct. And then this is the important part. Since you purchased your home, and let's say you've had it for 5 or 10 years, you might have made some upgrades. So a couple obvious ones, or maybe you put a new roof in, or maybe you put down wooden floors, or you remodel the kitchen. Whatever it might be, you go ahead and click these, and based off of that information, you push continue, and it will say, very nice, here's your new home value. Okay, so that's kind of useful. The other thing you'll notice kind of hidden off to the left here is your current mortgage. So that you can just double check that and make sure, yep, that's what I owe on it, and that's when I took it out. The next thing you'll notice right below, again, another valuable tool is for your zip code, it's giving you some information. It's in high demand, it's picking up quickly, and then right below you'll see, just like the tune value in blue, you make a click, and there you go. It's at present, and it gives you little indicators along the way. So for example, when you're down here on November 2019, it was a balanced market, right? So you can see here, it's easier to buy, easier to sell. So about this time, it was probably a balanced market. But as you can see, it's gone to slightly seller's advantage, and now we're at strong seller's advantage. So obviously this is a great time if you're in the market. What's also interesting is if you scroll down, it will say that there were 34 homes in your market that were selling in aggregate about 44 days. And homes in the zip code in aggregate have this many bedrooms, baths, and square footage. Now, it's giving you something to think about. And if you click here, and this again, everything's blue, it'll say, well, let's see, what is your cash position? And again, these are just really cool tools that you can play with to give you a lot of information. So in this particular situation, let's just say we stuck with the 487,000. So they would say you have some costs associated with selling, but you'd net 45,000 cash. But if you're like the neighbor down the street who maybe got, 410 or 510 or 508 or something, it might up your cash. You just saw it just jump here. Then you say, well, if I would like to buy a home and replace the home I have, you could do this little portion here, which is really fun because it will say, okay, you've got 65,000 cash. You need to do a down payment. If you do 10%, right, on a home that's worth, let's make it for 560. Okay, so you have 65 to work with. You need 56 down as your down payment. And it will say that your payment would go up about $478 per month, but you'd pocket about $8,000. If you're looking possibly to downsize, and your home is worth roughly that, but you say, well, I'm only going to spend about 300 and let's say 60 for a home. You could actually go bigger on the down payment, 20%, still save about 450 a month. And, but you would need more money on the down payment if you decide to go with 20%. So again, it's a nice little tool that you can play with. And it just gives you a lot of good information that normally you would have to go out to the internet and search for. All right, so let's just continue down. Right now, it's saying based on the current value of the home, you have about 79,000 worth of net worth. And it actually gives you a quick calculator. So if you sold the home, it pulls in your loan balance. It goes out, in some cases, it goes out and does this automatically for you and pulls it in, says you got a 30-year at this rate. And that's where it gives you the net. So now the question is, what do you want to do next? So if you're thinking of selling, you can go into here. If you want to share this with a brother, sister, or friend or family, you can certainly click, again, all the blue buttons, click here, and you can go back and you can send the link to your family or friends or post it on Facebook, whatever you'd like to do if you want to share this tool. Now, you might recall when we looked at the beginning that this loan was taken out in November. So that's why these numbers are kind of low. So right now, since November 2020, this much has been paid in principal and this much has been paid in interest. And, and it's saying, we just want to make sure that, is it right? You need to change these numbers. So it's doing a lot of work for you. That's probably the best part about it is you don't have to go do any searching. It just pulls all the information for you, which is really handy. Another thing it does is is it talks about the interest. We all know that, beginning of a loan, it's mostly interest, a little principal, and then you get to the end and it flips. Well, on this particular loan, on a 30-year, you're going to pay over $200,000. And that's insane that you're going to pay $200,000 just in interest. So it gives you some ideas of, well, if I wanted to refi, what would that look like? And so if you wanted to refi, but you're only going to be in the home for, let's say, 10 years, this is what your net savings is if you went from a 30 to a 15, and you got, let's say you got these rates. And of course you can go ahead and change those as well. And then it gives you a few other ones, different ARMs or 30-year fixed or whatever it might be. So again, it's nice. You can just sit there and you can play around with a couple of different ideas as to how long you're going to be in the home and what it's costing you. Now, to the point of interest, I don't know about you guys, but anytime I had a little extra cash, I would actually maybe throw a $250 or $500 per month on top of my payment, just because I knew it would pay off my mortgage faster and it would basically take care of the interest. So here's an example. If I paid $250 on this loan, took it out for the time period, you could actually get your loan eliminated in 6 years and at the same time save about $40,000. If you go a little crazy and you can afford another 500, there's 66,000 in savings and you're almost done in 10 years earlier. So that's kind of a neat little tool. Now the final tool, and again, you can go back and play with this, but this one is if you happen to decide to take your home and put it on Airbnb, which is kind of cool. So you have a lot of little tools here you can use, little dials you can change. This would give you an estimate for your area, what the monthly revenue would be, what your nightly rate would be at given months, the number of nights typical people would use your property. You can also set the rate, and you can see as you dial the per night in, it changes your monthly and it changes your annual. And also you can change how many days nights per month that you're going to use it. Obviously, the more income you'll make. And then, of course, if you have any questions or concerns or you're struggling, there's a phone number at the bottom, ever present, and there's an email. So you can always reach out to me and I'll be more than happy to spend time with you offline. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and now move on to the second portion of our discussion. And that's
I'm going to interrupt you for just a second,
Sure.
Bill, if I may. Does anyone have any questions about Homebot and what you saw in that part of Bill's presentation? Feel free to chime in. I'm just going to ask a couple of quick questions myself. So Bill, Homebot is free to use to the consumer, is that correct?
Correct.
And when they sign up for Homebot, and you're just providing an address, an email address, first and last name. Who gets that information? What do you do with it?
Okay, so the requester obviously gets this tool for use, as we just kind of walk through. I get a copy of the tool, and then there's a company called Modern Mortgage, but no one reaches out to you unless you make requests. So there's no one's going to be hovering over you, asking you for, do you want to sell your house? Do you want to, do you need any information? What's nice about it is there's many points during this thing is if you have any questions, it will ask you along the path that if you need help, you can make a request, and then I'll get an email that says, Patrick said he was questioning the value of his home. Can you give him a call or can you give him an email? So it's a on-demand request that you would make to us, and then we would then reach out to you. If you said, for example, you want to change or go to a different mortgage, you would reach out and someone from Modern Mortgage would reach out to you and say, but this is not a solicitation tool. It's not a, it's not a tool to use for anyone to come in and try to sell you something. It's a tool for you to evaluate, what you need to do with your wealth, basically your equity in your home.
Excellent. Also, in terms of the data that feeds the information that you're looking at on these various screens, that has a pretty, I can't say real time, but near real time feel to it. how often is that data refreshed? Just curious.
That's a good question. I'm going to write that down, and I would have to reach out to the Homebot folks to understand,
No worries.
yeah, how often the data is refreshed. So I can be more than happy to send that to you. And if you want to share it with everyone on the call, that would be great. But I'll definitely look into that.
Cool. Excellent. Just one comment from the audience. Jane says, Bill is right. Homebot is that easy to use. So anyhow, if anyone has any questions about Homebot, feel free to jump in. Otherwise, Bill, let's move on.
Okay, great. Thank you, Patrick. All right, the next thing we're going to do is look at these financial calculators. Now, again, there's many more here than I just listed 4, but I want to show you the ease of using this, and I call them quick calculators because indeed they're quick. So let's just go ahead and look at buy versus rent. So imagine you have a friend, a relative who's renting right now. And the question is, how long will it take for the buying costs to equal the cost of renting? So let's just take it. So for example, let's take a look at a home that's $450,000 and you put 10% down, but you're renting right now a 3-bedroom home, let's say in Highlands Ranch, and it's cost you $3,000 a month to rent, and it's a 30-year term. You click the button, bingo. It tells you that your break even is in 1 year in 9 months. Your buy cost will be $62,791. Your rent cost will be $631. If you take it out, you can actually use this timeline, take it out to 10 years, and you can see, what your rental costs are going to be versus your buy costs. So again, it's a very quick way of someone who either does not own a home today, or is thinking of renting, where does your rent money go? Well, it goes right out the door. And what exactly are you spending versus owning? And when you own, obviously you build equity and obviously the appreciation of your home. So that's one rent versus buy that you could pass along to a friends or family. The next one is called a net sheet. So just imagine for a moment you are a homeowner. How much cash would you be walking away with? So let's use the same example. Say you own a home that's $450,000, or like in the last example, you chose to dive in and now you own a home. And let's say your loan balance is about, let's say $300,000. You aggressively used the little Homebot and you started putting, $500, $1,000 a month payment down. And let's say you had an interest rate of this, and let's say your closing date was, let's just put it back here in June. If you press go, it's going to tell you that your sales price minus your property and closing cost, that you'll net this amount at the end of the day. Now, of course, it changes. If you go ahead and take this and up the sales price, you get more from, maybe not 590, but let's just say you get 510, like we were talking about before. It just keeps recalculating it and telling you that at the end, this is how much you would walk away net. So it's a quick calculator. If you're talking to a friend or family who's saying, I don't know, because you can get a net sheet from a realtor, but if you want a real quick net sheet on approximation, not exact, but approximation of what you would walk away with, this is a good tool. All right.
Excuse me, Bill.
Yeah.
We had a request from the audience when you get the browser back up to magnify the display just a bit too.
Some more? Okay.
Yes, please.
Is that better?
It's better for me. It was, let's see, Larry, is that looking good? Okay. Yeah, Larry says that's good.
Okay, good. All right. So now let's go back to and I'll blow this up too, to make it easier to look at. All right, so let's go refi. Everyone probably, during this last year, the pandemic, a lot of people went out and refied their loan. So the purpose of this is, we'll use the same exact numbers. The question is, how much could you save on a refi? And I can't see anyone's face, but I know I did. And I don't know how many of you did, but, at a rates that are record level lows, 2.5%, that's pretty amazing. You want to take advantage of the low cost of capital. So let's just say for a moment, we're refining our loan. We have 300,000 as we used in the last example. And let's say we're getting 3% now. Let's just say we get 30-year loan. So this is what your refi payment would be $2,600 a month at 3%. Then you click over here on the right and say, okay, what was my original loan amount? Well, my loan amount originally was, let's say you've had it for a couple of years. So let's say 325, but your interest rate back then was 4% on a 30-year. Press the button. You don't want that. And there you go. Your refi payment is 12. Your original payment was 15. So over a projected 5 years, you would save about 15,000. Obviously, it becomes more dramatic based on different rates. If you were getting a rate of 6% versus 2%, 2.5%, whatever it might be. But again, it's a nice, very quick calculator to be able to look at, if I were thinking about refinancing compared to the loan that I have now, what would I save over time? And this is a really good tool. And I think what I like about it is the timeline. So you could just keep moving this over and you could see in 10 years, the projected savings would be 31. So I think these are pretty handy and very convenient. You don't need an instruction book to learn them. So I think they're pretty nice. And then finally, let's imagine that because of COVID, your company is now saying you can work from home. You don't need to come to the office. So now you go, well, geez, I need an office. Well, the nice thing about this tool is it will say, well, let's see, maybe I do want a bigger house. So you say, well, what do you think your home's worth? We use the same example we've been using the whole on. So 450. And how much do you owe? And we said we owed 300. And it's saying if you sell your home, you'll net 117. So that number should look familiar to everyone. So then you move on and you say, well, how much of what you made, your equity, do you want to pour into your next house? So it says right here, you have a maximum of 117. We know that. Let's say we want to put 75,000 in, and you say, okay, let's see the results. So it's saying if you put in 75 on a down payment and closing costs, here's 3 different purchasing scenarios. So it gives you an idea. If you want to put 20% down, you could buy a house for 337. If you put 10% down, you can own a house for, 637. And then of course you look at it and it will give you a breakdown of, it's conventional 30-year, interest, et cetera. So again, it's another just simple tool that you could use to without having to reach out and consult someone on a DIY basis, do it yourself. You're able to do the work yourself, actually come into the game with a lot of knowledge, so that when you are sitting down with a loan officer at a mortgage company, or you're sitting down with a real estate broker, you're armed with a lot of tools. You know a lot of things. So that's the whole point of my presentation, was you're empowering people to be effective at what their plans are for the future in terms of where they want to live and where their journey is going to take them. So yeah, unless there's any questions about these 3, there are more than these. If you're looking for something specific, please, I implore you to email me, call me. Be more than happy to see if there's other ones that will fit whatever you're looking for.
What other types of calculators are available, just out of curiosity?
There's so many. It's hard to say, but it's really it's around about buying your first home. What you would need. There's calculators on if I wanted to buy and sell at the same time. So there's a myriad of different ones, all centered around giving you, I would call them scenarios of how do you deal with a situation that might be unique to you in terms of planning for your future. One of the calculators is, what happens if I want to buy an investment property? Or what happens if I want to rent out my house? What would I get for it? And what could I then take the equity out, and how much of a home could I buy? So these are really great tools to again, DIY on your own. And again, I'd be more than happy. Send me a request and I'll search up and see if we have a tool for you, rather than you have to go out into the internet and look yourself.
Cool. All right. And does anyone from the audience have any questions about the calculators that we've just looked at, or anything else? Feel free to jump in. Otherwise, let's move on to the next tool.
So just to recap, we've talked about Homebot, how that's your ability to manage your home equity. We talked about calculators for you to, rather than go out or get advice from someone, you could, again, it doesn't say you don't want to talk to your lawyer, your CPA, or a professional like a mortgage broker, but it's a way that you can prepare yourself for that conversation. And the more empowered you are, the better, the more information you have, the better you are to deal with, what's coming your way. Okay, so let's look at home search. And again, just like Homebot, the beauty of this tool is you set it up once and you set it up the way you want to set it up. It's customized to your needs and what you want to accomplish. No one's going to call you. No one's going to bother you. And it's powerful. So I'll go into it real quickly. So the first thing that happens, if you click that link, it comes to the CHR homepage and you come to this little button up at the top. It says sign in. So you click that and you simply just right here, put your email address. Now, when you put that information, you just go over to here and you push a button that says create an account. Well, I already have an account, so I'm going to go ahead and enter mine. Okay, and then you're going to get to this home screen right here. And let me show you how simple this is and how powerful it is. This is going to be a lot of fun. All right, so you see there's the mega menus across the top. And the second one over from the left is search. So you click on it and you type in a zip code, a neighborhood, an address, whatever it might be. So I'm going to enter in Highlands Ranch. Okay, so I don't know why it's doing that, but that's fine. Okay, the next thing is we're going to go over here and we're going to look at what's active. So you have an opportunity to go active or sold. And then the next tab over is price. So we're going to click on here and we're going to put price of homes. And I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to grab homes that are started at, let's say 650. And I'm going to go as high as dream a little here. I'm going to go to 900. And then did you notice every time you do this, it refreshes over here. And the next thing you do is you go over type. Well, we want a residential home, but you can obviously look for farm or rentals or whatever. And then finally go over to more and you can get really specific. I'm only looking for this many bedrooms or this lot size or, whatever it might be. So you go ahead and click on that. You can even go down to city if you want. So yeah, so when you're done with that, now I got to move this over a little bit so you can see it because I blew up the window so high. You click save search. And when it gets to this window, it will say you're looking for residential in this zip code from this amount to this amount. Now, this is the most important part because you control it. No one else does. You click here and say, I don't want to see this, but on a monthly basis. So you'll get an email once a month, or maybe I'm starting to look around. So maybe weekly would be good. And if you're really intensely looking, you may say, send this to me every single day because you never know when something's going to pop up on the market or immediately. Or you could say, I don't want to be bothered. Just never. Don't even send it to me once. So you can say, great. You say save search and it says it was saved. Okay, fantastic. So now I'm going to go over here. There's a little picture here, a little person picture. Hopefully you can see that. And you click on save searches and you only have one. You could do more than one. You could do different towns, different cities, different price points. You could have 10 of these. But in this particular case, we only did one. And we said it was Highlands Ranch from this range to this range. You click it. And I'm going to move this over a little bit. And there you go. You've got, let's see, you got five homes that meet that parameter. Now, let's say that it's been a week and you're thinking, you've talked with the significant other or friends or family, and you say, I want to refine this. Well, have you noticed over here, it says editing. So you can come over here and say, well, I only want to look at homes that are 4 bedrooms and have 4 baths. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, we just went from 5 to 2. So again, do you see how powerful that is? It's you decide what you want to look at, when you want to look at it. And you have all these capabilities here, when it was built, the school district, how many garages it has. And then I'm just have to move this over. And you just go over here and say update. They said, yep. Well, do I still want to see it weekly? maybe I want to see it daily now, because now I'm really starting to look for a home and I don't want something to get away from me. So there you go. So now you have these threes listed. If I were to sign out right now and sign back in, it would bring me back to this page, and I would just go over here again to save searches, and you would click on it and it would bring up the searches that you have. So again, I think between Homebot, right, and this search portal, you have total control over what you do with this. No one's going to email you or call you and say, oh, I noticed you were looking at something. It's your personal tool. You use it as you see fit. Now, I also just want to, in closing, I just want to share what other features are on here aside from looking for a particular home. You can go over here to CHR's listings. So here's listings that we have available. You can go to Explore, and there's two things here you may want to look at. So the first one is Explore Denver Metro. If you want to know a little bit about where your next move is, where you feel you see yourself in the future, maybe you say, I want to move to Centennial. So you click here and it gives you some stats, about Centennial, and it gives you those homes in that area. Or you could say explore Colorado Springs, and again, it breaks it down by area, the Broadmoor, Briargate, whatever it might be, and you can look at this and it'll give you very specific information. So it's kind of a cool tool in that regard, the Explore button. Of course, there's agents and about us, who we are, what we believe, etc. So with that said, again, I just wanted to bring to your attention, tools that I believe will, enhance your life, because you're not out having to spend hours on end trying to do a search. You're simply, getting information that's pushed to you. So again, I don't know if anyone has any questions on the actual portal.
Bill, what would be the differences, just at a high level, between the portal that you just showed us and like a Zillow, for example?
Yeah, that's a great question, Patrick. There are other platforms, Redfin, Zillow, Open Door. I mean, there's a myriad of other tools out there. And in the same regard, they ask you to fill in information, create a password. And the thing that is, I'm not going to say anything derogatory about others, but they are definitely collecting data on you. And the difference with Colorado Home Realty is this is your data, and we respect that. So again, I can't speak to Open Door and Zillow and what they're doing, if they're selling your information or not. But this is your information, and we respect that. This information is yours. So I think that maybe be the point of differentiation.
Cool.
Because you notice we don't ask you for a password.
Right.
Just an email address. That's the only thing. When you do come back and sign in, it's just, you come into the, when you log out, it's just sign in. It's just an email. That's all it is. They're not asking for name, address, your phone number. Right. But they're asking for 20 different things. So
cool.
So any questions?
Yeah, there's a question from Jane. Is it possible to select more than one search option on the home search tool, such as single family or townhouse, or and townhouse? Rather.
Absolutely.
Not or, and.
Oh, and I see. Yes, you can say single family and townhome.
Cool. Could you possibly magnify that just slightly?
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know why it's shrinking, but.
No worries. No, it's just.
Is that better?
You've got a high resolution screen, and for the rest of us, it's just a little bit small, but not bad.
Yeah. And I would say, I just want to make this offer to anyone out there. If you have questions offline, feel free to reach me through email or, through phone or whatever. And I'd be more than happy to jump on a Zoom call with you and take you through any part of this that you have questions about. So feel free to tap me for any information if you would like to learn more about Homebot or this search portal.
Do you want to throw your contact information up on the screen again?
Sure.
Just really quick.
So here is, I want to thank everyone for your time today. I know your time is valuable. Here's my name, here's my phone number, and here's my email address. And I don't know if you want me to blow that up too, but.
No, it looks good.
Okay.
I mean, from my end anyway. If folks want to turn their cameras back on for any question or discussion, feel free. We're kind of winding down here. And Bill, thank you so much for sharing this with us. You know, it was I don't know, a little more than a month ago, you shared with me, you got me help get me set up on Homebot.
Mhm.
And I was, drilling into that and poking around a little bit. And I was amazed at the level of detail that you can get from Homebot, and some of the different, dials and metrics that you can kind of tweak and do some what if kind of things. So,
Yeah, and
I
I know
thought that
Jane.
was
I set Jane up on one. I don't know, a month or so ago. Jane, how is it for you? Is it?
Same thing as Patrick said. It's just, it feels very complete. You don't, like, you go different places and you get little bits of information, and yeah, I don't have the experience to put it all together in a big picture. And Homebot really helps me understand the interaction between, your mortgage and home values and, neighborhood values. And I'm just very impressed with it. The feel of it makes me feel very, very secure using it.
Mhm. Great.
I also thought it was interesting how you could get a kind of an overview of what if you put your home up as an Airbnb property,
Mhm.
the kind of revenue that you could generate for doing that kind of thing. It was pretty interesting. That's why I was curious as well as what the frequency of the data refreshes were. If I go in today at 5 o'clock, is it going to be a different set of information than it was at 10 a.m. this morning? That kind of thing.
I'd be more than happy to look at what the refresh rate is. I imagine it's different for different things. So maybe on a mortgage, it might be, let's say you close on a new mortgage today. Maybe that takes a week or so. I mean, I don't know, but I'll definitely
Sure.
find out and get back to you.
Yeah,
But at
no
the end of
worries.
the day, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just said no worries. Yeah,
Yeah.
please.
I just think at the end of the day, as consumers, to me, the more powerful tools that we have available in our arsenal. So when we go out and make a decision, and especially such an important decision as a home purchase, I mean, that is one of your most major purchases in your lifetime. The more empowered you are, the better. And whether you want to talk to me in the future about what your plans are for the future, or you want to talk to someone else, I just hope you carry these tools with you so that when you do sit down with a mortgage banker, a real estate agent, whoever it might be, you're really armed and you're coming into the conversation with a lot of good information.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the audience? Okay, well, let me just share a couple of things really quick. Again, I want to thank Bill for joining us today on Senior Tech Coffee. There we go. Can you see the presentation? Hopefully, that's what I'm sharing right now. Anyhow, just a quick update. Next month, on June 2nd, I'm going to have another guest, Mary Beth Van Horn from Electronic Caregiver. She's going to be talking about her company's products that basically, similar to some of the products that I've presented or had guests on in the past, where you have an older adult, they're still living in their own home, whether it's an apartment or a house or whatever. How can you stay apprised of your loved one's, kind of day-to-day condition, and just ensure that they're healthy, they're doing well, they're up and around, and any needs that they have are being addressed. So that'll be on June 2nd at 10 a.m. And then I also have not selected a topic yet, but I'll have another tech coffee on June 16th. So that's probably going to be talking about an app or service that I have yet to choose. So anyhow, just wanted to mention that those dates are coming up. You can learn more about it at the address, the website address that you see down at the bottom of the slide. And here's my contact information if you need to get a hold of me for any tech support or technology questions that you might have. And I just want to thank everyone for joining us today. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join us. And let me just check the chat. Yeah, just if you haven't, if you have any, if you have anything else you want to share in the chat, please do. Lots of thanks in there for you, Bill, and a great presentation today. So yes, thanks so much for joining us today. And
Bill.
we'll see you all next month. If you want to, you can just sign up on Meetup. Thanks so much for joining us today for Senior Tech Coffee. Bill, thank you once again. My audience, thanks for joining today. Have a wonderful
great day,
everyone. Thanks so much.